It is 14:02 on Friday, the 10th of February. This is Spiritline. Reverend Tony, how the devil are you?
I'm absolutely fine, Reverend Nick. I'm absolutely fine. I hope everybody's well out there. The weather's looking a little bit grey. I'm hoping the rain will stop off.
Yeah, it is. It's looking grey and miserable and boring, but
Yeah.
inside we can bring brightness and light and hopefully a little bit of spirit to the world too.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so.
Fingers crossed. And we've already got people saying hello, hello. In
Yeah.
particular, hello, Chrissy. How you doing? Hello, hello, hello. Um,
Maureen,
and
Alison.
then we've got Marine. Hi, Marine. We've got Alison Moody. Hi, Alison. The lovely Shelley. How you doing, hun? I hope you've got your hurdles ready for that racetrack. I'll tell you about that later.
Racetrack.
And
Sounds good.
Facebook user. Tell us who you are, Facebook user. And then I'll send you instructions on how to stop
Mm.
StreamYard being ignorant.
It's very rude. Very
It
rude.
is very rude, is our StreamYard,
Yes.
but it does work rather well. And the lovely Jen Stevenson, good afternoon to you. Hope you are well.
Yes.
And
Yes.
remember, everyone, this is your show, your conversation, your questions, your comments count.
Absolutely, absolutely. I have to say, I've used a few streaming services, and StreamYard does seem to be the easiest one to use. Oh, it's Emily.
It's Emily. Hello, Emily. Bless you. You're not invisible. You're not invisible.
No. We just couldn't see your name. We could see the
No.
comment, but not your name.
There
Oh,
there is a way. I think the instructions in the blurb
it should be
when we
above
share it
the
tells you
yeah,
how to do it,
yeah.
but we can worry about that.
We can. It's 2 clicks. 2 clicks and
Two
you're done.
two clicks of a computer's tail.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
it is. So, Reverend Tony, what have you been up to?
I've been doing a lot of work with. I do apologise if people can hear my dogs killing each other below the table. Oh dear. I've been working with some of the service users from the Rainbow Project. Our fabulous member of staff has moved on to pastures new. So
Yes.
we picked up Michael and I have picked up the service users, and it's yes. Thank you to Sheridan Murphy for the nails. I usually do my own, but she did them for me. And yeah, it's lovely to be out there ministering to people, because there does seem to be a bit of a crossover between the Rainbow Project work and what we're doing at the minute, and it's a lot of people just need that ear for somebody to talk to and to get things off their chest and to listen non-judgmentally
Yes.
to what's going on in their lives. So that's been me. How about you,
Yes.
sir?
Well, I've been driving my mother all over the countryside and up the wall. Hello, mother. And yeah, even more so. Next week, I'm out and about. Next week,
Yeah,
I've been
sir.
out and about on the internet a lot lately. With SPTV on Mondays and the workshop, some of the circles, and then the Wednesday 2 circles, of which I can see several of its members watching today. And then next week, starting Sunday, I've got a right royal run of it because I've got the workshop. I have got a service in March with the lovely Barbara Price on Monday. Service in Prickwillow with the wonderful Sacred Souls on Tuesday, and then I'm heading out to Bourne Spiritualist Church on Wednesday for a philosophy Q&A. And then I'm back to Littleport on Thursday for my own church. So it's busy,
Yeah.
wonderfully busy.
Well, when you are at this end of the country at Cleethorpes, you'll have to give me the dates and times, and I'll drive across and say hello.
Absolutely. Well, yes, the Cleethorpes one, I can tell you, is Mum's birthday, the 28th of February. So I will be up near Mabel's Thorpe and Cleethorpes on the 28th of February. Mummy's birthday.
Oh, there's something in for Michael, but I'm free on that day.
Oh, excellent. Excellent.
Oh, Chrissy's
Fabulous.
just put a
Yes,
topic.
absolutely, yes. And I'm going to favourite that and bookmark it because I want to absolutely come back to that as our first.
I was going to say it is an important one, and I think it
really is. And I've only just found out after 3 years of using StreamYard that you can star comments to highlight them. So so
just
Chrissy,
to remind us
yeah. And good afternoon to the newest Facebook user. Please let us know who you are, because StreamYard doesn't always carry through the names if you haven't clicked the link. But we say hello and thank you for joining us. And well done, Shelley. It's Gail. Hello. See, everyone else at home, when they're chatting on Facebook, they can see each other's names, but we not always can. Well done, Shelley. And hi, Gail.
Thank you for that.
But of course, we would be remiss if we didn't broach a very important and very painful subject, and that, of course, is Turkey and Syria.
Awful.
And just before we do, absolutely, we want to discuss the subject. Absolutely. And it in a sense, it does tie in some small way of a potential ability to help in many ways, but yeah, we definitely want to talk about that because it's a subject that's very close to my heart and many others. But we and of course, yes, Tony.
Yeah, absolutely.
And hello, of course, to Daryl, who has managed to join us from YouTube because he's been banned from Facebook for being a very naughty boy. Oh, I can see you there now. That's better. A bit of light on the subject. But yes, Turkey and Syria earthquake. The latest figures, which are horrific, and was updated 51 minutes ago by Reuters. 22,765 people have passed. 82,956 people have suffered non-fatal injuries, and 373,780 people have been displaced, and at least 24 million people have been affected by what is basically the planet stretching. Literally, we all sit there and we do this and think nothing of it, but when the planet does it, we are in trouble.
Linda, absolutely. Our hearts go out to them all, and our hearts and prayers, mine have been with them for the last couple of days, and I shall continue to pray. I have had somebody actually, I was chatting to via Messenger about something else, and I just mentioned, because I was watching the news at the same time, oh gosh, isn't this absolutely heartbreaking? And they threw the thing at me because of, the collar. Well, if God's so great, why has he done it? I was like, God didn't do it. It's a natural disaster. It's got nothing to do with God. God is not in the disaster. God is in how we all react to it and how we help and what we can do. And we had a bit of a debate backwards and forwards, but they got my point. It's like,
yeah, it's an easy thing, especially when the modern world describes these things as an act of God. Even your insurance policy will describe it as an act of God, and it really isn't. We are, we might be ministers, but we do understand what scientists do, and we recognize that we are very, very lucky to have made it this far. If you think about it, we are on a ball of molten rock spinning thousands of miles an hour, thousands of miles across the universe each week. And it is there but for the grace of God that we have made it thus far, really. And certainly, if you look at what science has done for the world, there'd be those statistics would be normal for things like disease. We've
Mm,
overcome so many things that this planet has to, treat us with.
mm,
But the one thing that we haven't managed to do yet is avoid building in places that are on tectonic plate fault lines or underneath volcanoes.
yeah.
So whilst it is horrendous, I don't blame any spiritual being for it happening, because it's just the body of Earth, keeping
Yeah.
itself going. And we can't exactly talk when it comes to how the Earth behaves, because we haven't exactly treated it very well.
No,
But
absolutely.
the I suppose the relief is that the Earth doesn't treat us in the same way as response.
Yeah, yeah. We've not tread.
It is completely dispassionate towards our behaviour and doesn't pay us back every 5 minutes.
No,
Um,
no.
because if the planet Earth was a big human being, we would be in serious trouble.
Oh, yeah. If can you imagine if she took a fit of pique and decided to bless? I've just read Shelley's. Is that the
Yes,
song from Jesus Christ Superstar? Because that is one of my favorites as well. It's like, could we start again, please?
yeah,
Let's just. Can you imagine
yeah.
if we could just go back to when we crawled out of caves and think, actually, we won't use aerosols, we won't emit all this carbon into the atmosphere. And hindsight is a wonderful thing, Shelley. It is absolutely a
It
wonderful
certainly
thing.
is.
The
Certainly
number of
is.
times in my life I've thought, oh, if only I knew that back then, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and yes, Facebook use of the relief, the rescue. I was just saying to Nick before we came on, I saw one of the UNICEF things going out on TV last night saying, can we please send blankets and donate what you can?
And you know
Awful.
what? It really does show that when it hits the fan, the heart of the world shows. You know,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
it really, really does. And everyone forgets, border squabbles and stresses and politics and all that, and they just
Mhm.
see human beings in pain. Which I wish we would do that. I wish we would do that all the time. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
But at least I suppose we can be grateful that when it really hits the fan and when we're up against it and we have common um, a common distress, we all come together.
Yeah.
Um, for me, that is the only real positive that can be made from these situations, that
Yeah.
people show their true colours. It's a shame that we don't do it all the time. It is a
Yeah.
shame,
Yeah.
but you know, I suppose it's that old story of, who your friends are,
Yeah. Definitely.
and you really,
Definitely.
really do when it hits the fan. And yeah, Alison, lots of different services are pulling together, and it is amazing to see. It
It
really,
is.
really is.
It is. So, yeah, heartbreaking. Absolutely
Yeah,
heartbreaking.
and quite
Um,
right. Natural disasters, not God's work. Completely, completely
absolutely.
agree.
Absolutely. And it's something Christians come up against a lot. We get it thrown at us time after time. Well, you know, this person suffered with this, and this person's suffering with that, and why does God do that? And do you ever get exhausted, Nick, of trying to justify the fact that you have faith? And you know,
I'm going to surprise you now. No, I don't. And the reason I don't is because Christianity has got a lot to bloody answer for on that score itself, because
Oh,
the Christian side creates a rod for its own back, as we both know.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I suppose we're quite lucky because we can then turn around and say, well, actually, we are Christian spiritualists, not just Christians.
Mm.
But that would be a cop out, and I wouldn't actually do that. And I do
I
defend the
I
Christian
don't do
side
it.
of my life.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. But
but when you are, because I mean, let's face it, we have to defend ourselves against comments like that from Christians. Um, and
yeah, when you
the,
get
the,
fundamentalists standing outside a spiritualist church with placards saying "Devil's work."
yes, yeah, and additionally, that the irony of comments, and I think this is the flip side of what we're seeing in human nature to what we're seeing now. One of my all-time easiest responders is when the right-wing hardline ministers stand there and say, well, there was a natural disaster and a flood. um, yes, there was a flood and so, and that's God's response to letting all these gays have rights. um,
Yeah,
so the Christian, the loudest of the Christian hardliners do make a rod for our own backs. But the
yeah,
simple answer to that is the rainbow, because actually, at the end of the story of Noah, God made a covenant with Noah to say that he would never again cause harm to the peoples of the earth because of their behavior, and would never again cause a flood. So,
yeah,
the rainbow of pride
absolutely,
is actually a
absolutely.
representative of the covenant of Noah, saying, I'm not going to do that again. So you can't use that. So I think it can be
No,
six of one, half a dozen of the other. I think, as with everything in life, it's easier to find something that you cannot hold accountable to blame.
yes, yeah, it is.
And
It
that's
is.
why I try not to tire of that barrage, because I suppose in many ways I get it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
does the Great Spirit, the universal source, mind? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I think we feel enough. I think we feel enough disappointment in statements like that for God not to worry about such
That's
a
absolutely
comment,
true.
perhaps.
Absolutely true.
Um,
But yeah, it's. I do understand when you hear some of the hardliners that are coming out and
yeah.
saying, you know, but do
Um, yeah, I got you, Shelley. I know I have a
oh
habit.
yeah.
Shelley, bless you. I either make you laugh or cry. I don't do anything in between with you, my love. Um, do you believe that we choose our journey and what we're going to experience and how we're going to pass over?
Oh, interesting, interesting. I've I've never I've never sort of believed in fate as such. I sort of think we have autonomy, and when they say, "Oh, it's God's will," mm, maybe not. It's what for me is, you know, we have children, we grow them, we nurture them, and then we go, be free, go out into the world,
Yeah,
come come back when you want to cry and whinge about your partner or whatever, but you have autonomy. And that's what I believe we have. We are born, we receive part of the Great Spirit, and we go through life experiencing, on behalf of the Great Spirit, life, humanity, the physical, the love, the pain, the hurt, the stress, everything that is part of human life in various different forms, which for me is a wonderful thing that God entrusts us to experience that on their behalf.
Yeah.
And the other part about the how we pass, I oi, be quiet. I don't believe in that statement of, oh, they went too soon, because we go when we're meant to go.
Yeah.
And he's actually shouting because one of the grown-ups has had the audacity to go to the fruit bowl and have something to eat.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, so really naffed off about that. But yeah, we pass when we are meant to pass, when it's our time to pass. And
Yeah.
I do receive a lot of spirit contact from people who have chosen their time to transition.
Yes.
That's a completely different thing for me. But yeah, we pass when we are meant to pass, when we've experienced everything in this physical life that we're meant to, we go home. And but that's just my take on it. I always put the analogy of it. Imagine a science class in school, and God sat there at their desk and going, "Oh, this is neat. I've made this universe. Let's see what it does," and sends it off and just sits and watches.
Yeah.
And like you've said, Nick, it they got to the point where they thought, oh, I wonder what it's like to be there. So it sent part of itself out to be with every physical being and experience their lives.
Yeah.
And that's just my view. We are God's science experiment, and they're sitting there going, "Oh, well done,
Yeah.
well done,
Yeah.
you." Oh, Alison,
And for me, I have to say, that comment I totally agree with about the too soon. It is, let's be honest, it's always too soon from our perspective. It's always too soon from our perspective. Um, the universe, we are its representations on the physical world. We are the universe made manifest, trying to understand itself. So do I think that there are certain waypoints that we have to pass? Do I think that there are certain, it's like when you decide to go to college or university, you pick your prospectus, you decide what it is that you want to learn and where you want to be. But do you have a choice? Is it all completely marked out? Absolutely not, because that would defy free will. And of course, that free will for those poor, unfortunate, and heartbreaking moments where people feel the necessity to take their own life, that is to an extent a representation of their free will to say, look, enough is enough.
yeah,
I think that we human beings that are with them, as has been shown, from the whole earthquake, we need to be able to make sure that people recognise that we are there for each other and kind to each other, and that may prevent that need and that pain that causes that desire to do such a thing.
yeah,
But do I think that our time is predestined, as in, the moment of our transition is written in the stars? No, I don't. I think when you reach a certain point in your life, there are always going to be things that happen. Either your physical body has, gone through whatever it's gone through, and it says enough. Then that is the right time for that physical body, even if it might not be the right time for the soul. And once again, everyone's left behind certainly won't feel that way.
no,
Um,
no,
but that the moment comes to everyone. And look, I'll be honest with you, that ties in very much with the whole earthquake thing as well. I was developing, so it was when I was beginning my development as in mediumship when this happened, so I was really nosy when it comes to spirit. I was getting my finger in every pie. I was watching everything from a spiritual side. I was linking in all the time. And I went out to a party, and I felt this sudden rush. And I was like, what? So I went into the bathroom, the toilets where I was, and I splashed my face. And as I looked up, all of the group that I work with in spirit was stood behind me. This was about 9 o'clock in the evening, if not later. And what's going on? Gordon, what's going on? And they said, we have to be somewhere else. Something is coming that we cannot prevent, that cannot be prevented. The choices have been made, the decisions have been made by the people on earth, and there is nothing that can be done to prevent it. However, we must be there to help mop up the result. And I was like, what are you on about? I really didn't get it. And they said, look, do not link in. We are not going to be here. We will let you know when you can come back to speak to us. But we have to go and help, because we need every hand on deck to help the transition of these spirit people. And I was like, this is really, really bad. And the next morning, 9/11 happened.
Oh. Yeah.
So we all know that there are those that come to help us transition. What isn't so widely spoken about is that when the passing is unexpected, painful, unwanted, and that spirit person is going to be, fighting and kicking and screaming to get back to the earth plane, lots more spirit come to help provide the energy and the comfort and the support for those that are transitioning. So when a lot of people transition all at once, it is literally all hands on deck in the spirit world to make it as comfortable as possible for those that are involved. And that doesn't just include the spirit people that are transitioning. It includes the comfort and the calm that needs to be given to those that are suffering physically and emotionally at that moment. And so my whole group just went screeching off to do what they needed to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was told in no uncertain terms, keep your hands out of the pie, keep your fingers from being burnt, do not link in until we tell you to, because we are not going to be here to do what we normally do. Yeah. Everyone has, it was basically the fire bell in the fire station of the spirit world was ding, 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 and off they went. Yeah. And the important thing to remember on that, when talking about the kindness of people, is that these aren't, most people's guides and helpers are not celestial beings that have never set foot on the earth plane. These are people who have been born, have married, have loved, have lived, have passed, have suffered and endured, and they maintain that kindness of spirit that continues throughout their spiritual existence. And they will have experienced and witnessed similar things in their lives, because there is always something horrific in every generation, unfortunately, be it man-made or planet-made. And to know that.
Yeah.
Yes.
You just said World War I, guides and angels helped to take all of those in transition.
Absolutely. Whenever so I know that there were many people in the last couple of weeks that have been sitting there going, something feels strange. Something feels strange. That is what you were picking up on. You were picking on the spirit world preparing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Preparing what my old mentor used to say is the spiritual triage.
Yeah. It was funny, actually. Matt Stapley put something out, a post on Facebook I saw, like I say, a couple of weeks ago, where he said, the energies just feel very off balance for some reason. And hey ho, we'll ride through it like we always do. And yeah, it like you say, it's that all of the energy just going, need to be somewhere else right now. We need to be getting people ready for this. It's going to hit the fan. So Yeah.
So back to we of course send our healing thoughts out to everyone, both spirit side and earth side, who have been affected, who are helping, and if there is anything that can be done from a distance, physically as well, we should encourage each other to do the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah.
So God bless to all of them and everyone on the earth who are the angels without wings wandering,
And
broken
helping with,
buildings.
yeah,
Yeah.
searching.
Yes.
Okay.
So Chrissy's question, I've put up your original question because I can do that now. I would like to bring up the subject of psychics and police investigations because a few psychics have been getting a lot of stick this week concerning a missing person. What does everyone think of this subject, please? And do they deserve it? And to, tie in again, um, do you think that they are hindering or helping to solve a case because psychics have been used in investigations before? And I am aware of a few. I even know someone who's tried to help. Um,
Mm.
Tony, your thoughts?
Mm. I absolutely think that the loved ones of anybody missing can go and find a medium and help with that investigation. Absolutely, I do. And from my own perspective, I know somebody who. Do you remember the Black Panther case?
Yes.
Yes. They had a visitation and they were saying, it's dark, and I can't move because of my neck. I can't move because of my neck. And of course, she was found in a storm drain with a noose round her neck. And I also think, like we've said before, I don't know if it was the last time we were on or the week before, where there are people out there who will be jumping up and down and going, oh, I know where they are, I know where they are, and getting the names all over the press.
Yeah.
And that side of it, of course, we don't condone in any way, shape, or form. But when a medium is genuinely doing the work of spirit, then yes, there is a place where for that information to be passed on to the authorities. If they run with it, they run with it. If they go, that's a decision for the police to make. I would have no problem if police officers came to me and said, can you help with, I've heard you're a medium. I would do my best. And I think that's all any of us can do, is to do their best and say, well, this is what I've got, this is what I'm getting. There you are.
Yeah.
And with everything, after every service, if somebody comes up to me and says, you did a great job, da da da, it's like, no, I didn't. The information came in and it came out my mouth. I am a Bluetooth speaker. Yes, I deliver it in a certain way. Nobody else will deliver information like I do. Nick doesn't. Jean, we all have our own personalities, and that's what comes in. I was actually going to mention Mr. Stockwell because I used to watch his program, The Psychic Detective.
Yes. Although thanks to the spell check, it's clinical fry. I'm sure he would find that hilarious.
Absolutely would. Absolutely
Colin,
would.
I'm so proud to say that I actually met Colin a few times and work with a few of his students. And yeah, I actually did like that program myself.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
So yeah, I mean, I would hope that if I went missing or anything, my loved ones would run to Nick and go, excuse me, he's over here, he's over here. So yeah, I do think there is a place for help if it's done from the heart with God's grace and for the right reasons. Because
Yes.
mediums that jump up and down and go, look at me, look at me, look at me, that's up to them. They
Yep.
work how they work, but it's not for me. I would rather sit in the background and be a little bit quiet about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just doing a little bit of admin here.
Okay.
Um, so
Do you
keep
want me to
talking.
fill? Do you want me to fill?
Yeah, keep filling because I need to create a banner to help people out.
Okay.
Um,
So yeah, that's where it is for me. I mean, in any walk of life, I think there is a place for spirit guidance. Um, they're allowing the public near to the site, but psychics are getting all the negative comments. We do. Mediums and psychics always have bad rap. It's going to happen. We always do. And it's lack of understanding, I think, from some people. And some of it, I guess, can be justified because, like we said, there are those out there who are doing it for nefarious reasons, and milking it for all the cash they can get out of it. Not mentioning any names, but I do know people who watch live streams and go through and approach the people who have watched and said, I've got a message from your loved one. Give me
yeah,
£75 for half an hour's reading and I'll tell you what they've said.
yeah,
Like we said, there are charlatans in every walk of life. But we all get tarred with that brush, unfortunately, by certain sectors.
absolutely.
But personally, I do it because I need to.
Yeah.
I would get my butt kicked if I didn't.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I completely, totally, and unconditionally agree with everything that has been said and what you've said, and with everyone at home. Yeah, it's the same old story. The general population of mediums and psychics, to be fair, all get tarred with the same brush of those few annoying ones that only do it to say, "Look at me, look at me." Um, you know, I know full well that Colin Fry, although he had his show, he was always being tapped up for information by authorities, but he didn't promote that. I
No,
know many mediums that are names, for want of a better term. They don't tell anyone they do it because it's a very personal and private thing, and that they don't actually want to take credit for that sort of work. It comes back to exactly what you said. Um, if it's done for the right reason, and I know several people have said similar as well. Um, Excellent. Yes. I'll take that banner down because it's quite annoying. If anybody needs the banner bringing up, just let me know. I'll bring it back up. But yeah, it's so frustrating that once again, and it comes back to that same old story that the many get done in for the sake of the few. Um, I have someone who I work with in spiritualism who is frequently getting information about stuff like that, and they're nervous about passing it on because of the reaction they would get.
mm,
And my advice has always been do it discreetly.
yeah,
Pass on that information.
absolutely.
Like you said, pass it on and let them deal with it. I've done it myself a few times over the years. I will explain who I am, explain why I'm doing what I'm doing. I will explain to them the information I have, and I will say, look, if you really are struggling for information and you've got nothing else to go on, then please consider it. But don't
Mm,
think that I'm doing this for any other reason than to try and help. And they are actually grateful. They are
yeah,
actually grateful.
yeah,
I
yeah.
was not, but the people that I passed the information on to were, yes, Joe, we can see you now. We can see you, Joe. It needs doing once a month, apparently. We all get booted off every now and again by
Mm.
Facebook. Yeah, best practice. Best psychics and mediums are the quiet one. Just said what I've told. Oh wow, bless you. Yeah, it is. There's an old saying that's a favourite of mine. The quiet ones change the universe, while the loud ones take all the credit.
Yeah. And to be fair, Nick, if they want to do it,
Yeah,
let them
there's
get on
nothing
with
we're
it.
going to be able to do to stop them anyway.
No, absolutely. And yes, Chrissy, we can just all hope and pray that that young lady is found safe and well. But
And
yeah.
if not, at least some closure, because there's nothing worse than the unknown.
Oh, I can't imagine living with not knowing for all those years. Yeah, I spent loads before.
Being really, yeah, there are a lot of people out there, and yeah, and you know what? Although everyone is kind of in agreement, it is kind of sad
It
that
is.
we can't just share who we are. I can't remember who it was that I was talking to. I think it was someone in Circle. Or it could have been someone I've been talking to about the various different meetings I've been having this week. Normally I can remember who says what, but I can't remember this time. And if you are watching, then just tell me it was you. But there, there are. Yes, I'm pretty sure. It was actually Shelley. Can't tell their family what they do. Can't tell their family what they do because they would cause so much havoc for them.
Mm,
Um, and it's horrible, really, that
it is.
people can be so. We spent the first 30 minutes of this show talking about the wonderful behaviours of humanity. That when it hits the fan, everyone comes together, and yet when decent, genuine people try and help because they are slightly different, because they are the other. They are attacked, and everyone who sits in the same, group with them are ridiculed. And this is why I get so worked up from time to time. And I don't get worked up for myself anymore because I am past it. I'm okay with it. I'm beyond it. I don't care what people say about or to me anymore because you know what I'm like, Tony, and everyone who knows me knows I've
Yeah,
always got a bloody answer for everything. Um, but but I get upset for people, for other people, for
yeah,
those that are suffering with people close to them who treat them like a distant stranger, for those that are just coming into this way of life, that have had their first message. I mean, we had a new person join church last night. First time there, she got a wonderful message, and I was so overjoyed. And I know full well that at least one or two of her friends, she'll say to them, "Oh, I went to so and so, and I got this message." And what? Oh, you don't want to go there, devil worship and all that. All they're charlatans. They are. They're con artists. It's all devil worship. My first answer would be, which one is it? Make up your mind.
yeah,
Um, but
yeah,
there are so many wonderfully genuine people out there who do such wonderfully genuine work. Does it always work? No, because actually, Shelley, you said you didn't know whether you were right or not. I will tell you, you were absolutely right. There is always going to be a reason why it won't work. And if that spirit person does not want to be found, they are not going to be found.
no,
If that psychic is picking up something, people do automatically assume that all psychism is about fortune telling and future reading. It isn't. It's very much
no,
based in the moment. And
yeah,
it
yeah,
really, really hurts to see genuine, decent people who are just slightly different being treated as the enemy. Because in every walk of life, the enemy is being treated as that which is different. The enemy is that which is different, that which is unusual from you, irregular from you, does things that you wouldn't normally do. But that's not true. The enemy is not that which is different. The enemy is not that which is something that you don't understand. The enemy is fear. The enemy is hate. The enemy is the one who tells you that you cannot be yourself and that you cannot be who you want to be on this earth, be it psychism, be it spiritualism, be it faith, be it religion, be it who you sleep with, how you describe yourself, all of it. It is what matters inside here that matters. It is what is inside here that counts. It is what inside is that is here that makes us all unique and different and special and personable and part of the Great Spirit trying to understand it. And anyone who says otherwise is frankly either lying to themselves or each other, and just needs to take a moment and a breather, like I'm about to do, to just take stock of what it is they're actually doing to other people.
Yeah,
Here ended the sermon.
Completely agree.
Sorry.
And it all ties up in a nice little bow to the conversations we've had in previous shows, talks, Spiritline things. It does about what does it matter? How is it hurting you that today Nick wants to identify as a giraffe or a horse or a whatever it is? It doesn't affect my life.
Affect anybody else? Yeah.
No, it doesn't affect my life, and it doesn't matter at all. And yeah, I think I've shared this story before, that I went to hospital for a blood test a few months ago, and the lady was taking my blood and was chatting away, and she's like, "Oh, so what is it you do for a living?" "Oh, I'm medically retired." "Oh, so how do you fill your time?" "Oh, I work with the Rainbow Project, and I also am an ordained Christian spiritualist minister." "You're a what?"
Yeah.
"I'm an ordained Christian spiritualist minister." "Oh, God, I'm a born-again Christian." And we started having this lovely conversation, and then you could see it filter through, and she went, "But the Bible says, da, 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 and thou shalt not communicate with those who have..." And I'm like, that's not what it says, really, if you read it properly, you know? And plus, if you look at the Bible, it's a translation of a translation of a translation over 2,000 years. So
and all of the main characters talk to the dead.
Exactly. So, so we had that conversation, and I thought, here we go again. I'm just reading through some of the comments.
Yeah, I have been putting them up on the screen. Some really wonderful feedback, and also horrendous experiences as well, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Do I think we're ever going to change it? I'd like to think so.
As long as there is that little box at the end of a form that says "other," we'll never change it. Because wherever we see people as other, outside of, apart from.
Yeah. And this is actually after a Spiritline, I think it was probably even the first one. Me and Michael, or was it even a planning meeting? I don't know. We were online talking anyway, and I had a chat with Michael, and you decided to run away upstairs out of the way and get out of it. We had a really great debate, and
we did.
We didn't actually have opposing views, but what I like about Michael is that he's an argumentative what's-it, and will always throw the opposing view to what you are saying, whether he agrees with it or not, because that's his style of debating, and it really helps me with developing my conversation. So when I am struggling to express myself and iron out the kinks, I'll always try and challenge Michael to it, because he will give me the armament I need and the courage of conviction of that conversation that I need. And we were actually talking about, gender norms and, what people describe as woke, which I just you know, most of it is what I call common sense. It's just that some people like to take it a step too far. And I was saying, you know, the problem that we have is that we have too many labels, and we need to reduce the labels, not increase them. You know, I've got no problem with people calling themselves what they are, but I think the more we expand the labels, the more we put each other in individual boxes. We should all be in the same blooming box.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, that's absolutely right. Somebody once said to me, well, the thing is, every other, like, in terms of race, creed, the narrowing down, but our, if you like, the queer community, we're
yeah,
expanding and expanding and expanding the little letters, and it's like, no, because whilst we're doing that, we are creating more little boxes for people to be other, and it's something that is quite worrying. With my other hat on as co-chair of the Rainbow Project, because there's a lot of infighting within the community at the moment, and unfortunately the trans community seem to be getting a lot of the brunt of it at the moment. And why can't we just be together and be humanity? Humanity is one and only race on the planet. Yeah, Facebook user,
yeah,
absolutely. We are God's children, and it doesn't matter what
yeah.
your label is, or if you don't want a label. I don't want a label. I don't want a
No,
label. I am Tony. That's
yeah.
it. End of.
I mean, the whole take, for example, if we stay in that topic for a moment, the whole purpose of the term non-binary is that it is an abandonment of labels. You know, I
Yeah.
don't want to be labeled, and yet we create so, and we do it for everything. You know, and you know, that humanity is one and only race. It reminds me of science fiction story time.
Yay!
Me and Reverend Wendy, bless her cotton sacks. She came through last night, actually. Reverend
Did
Wendy
she?
come and said hello
I've
to
not watched your
Mum.
service yet.
Yeah. Oh, it's brilliant. There was a reference to someone dancing and then someone being pushed around in a wheelbarrow. What the medium didn't realise was that it was the same occasion, and it was Dad. Reverend Wendy Perry was my deacon who passed a couple of years ago. It was a couple of months just before Dad passed.
Mm.
And she was really, really very, very poorly, and she was very immobile for a long time. And she came to church one week, and they were talking about dancing, and said, "Oh, I'd love to be able to dance again." And so Dad just got the chair barrow, lifted the back of a chair up, shoved it underneath it, pulled her on, and took her for a spin around the hall. And we took a photo. And so I shared that as part of the evidence. Well, me and Reverend Wendy, we used to have a lot in common, and one of them was this particular sci-fi story. The most modern remake of Battlestar Galactica.
Mm.
One of the things that modern science fiction does is create backstories and depth, create religions that everyone follows.
Mm.
And the one that was, you know, really, really stood out to me, there was a statement that the Admiral Adama would always say. So say we all. And he did a speech at the UN as the Admiral, and they were talking about race and culture. And he was saying, you know, all these people, it still surprises me that even though these really learned people sitting here at the UN talking about all of this, they use the word race, the 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 white race, the black race, the Latino, and he was obviously Latino himself. The Latino race. He says there's no such thing as a Latino race. There's no such thing, and there never was, and there never will be a Latino race. What you are referring to is cultural determination. It's about where you came from on the planet and how you were brought up. There is only one race, the human race, and the whole auditorium yelped out, "So say we all. So say we all." And Reverend Wendy picked up on that and would hashtag everything with "So say we all." So absolutely, totally agree that there is only one human race, and there's also only. Whoa, hang on. As the dog just got plugged in somewhere.
He got his paw around my headset.
Am I
Sorry.
the only one who thought that something? Oh dear, that was a few. That was a few and a half. But yeah, absolutely. There are good, bad, negative, and positive in everyone. It's just a shame everyone is judged for the way they choose to live. Why can't we all live in harmony with each other? Or am I expecting too much? No, you're not expecting too much.
No, you're not. No.
But it's still going to be a struggle. Because
Yeah.
people are people. And even Christine just chips in and that her dad used to say that. Yes, and we are all meant to do different things as we are walking our own path. Absolutely
As we
agree.
said at the beginning.
Yes, and it
is
is.
there a chosen path, or is it how we choose to live our lives? And it is very upsetting. I was just talking to Nick before we came on. The lady that worked for the Rainbow Project has had to move on to pastures new, and Michael and I have picked up the one-to-one side of it, and some of the stories are absolutely heartbreaking, and it all comes back to respecting people's life choices. And as people who are looking after the best interests of somebody, it's about supporting them and being there when it all goes pear-shaped, to dust them off and say, there, come on, let's have a cup of tea, tell me all about it, and then off you go again.
Yeah.
It's not our place to judge. It's not our place to impose our ideas. I mean, yes, when you have children, or when you are looking after somebody or involved with somebody, you want what's best for them, and you think, oh, wouldn't it be lovely if they had children and had got married or whatever? But life's not like that for everybody.
It's not.
So support them, lift them up, give them the tools and the equipment to fight off what's out there. I'll be honest with you. When our son came out as trans, I did have that oh poop moment. Yeah. And it wasn't because they needed to do that. It was because of the involvement we've had with the Rainbow Project and stuff. We know the crap that's out there.
Yeah.
We know what's waiting for them. There are those people with power and influence who are using their power and influence to take away the rights of other people. And that's not acceptable in any way, shape, or form. And it's about, I mean, I would hope we are broadcasting out to goodness knows how many people now. And this broadcast will be out there for people to see ad infinitum. And I hope the words we speak will be used for good and for positive, not to take away the rights and privileges of somebody based on anything. Blonde hair, blue eyes, brown eyes, freckles, no freckles, moles, no moles, whatever. Empower people. I love to see when I'm running a class or I'm talking to somebody through the Rainbow Project, and you see them light up. We were talking to a young man, and they were that tense and nervous and upset about what had happened to them. Not going into specifics, but they were sat like this, fidgeting all the time.
Yeah.
And as the conversation was going, their hands dropped to their knees.
Yeah.
And their shoulders dropped. And the whole body language just completely changed because they thought, I'm being heard.
Yeah.
Not listened to.
Heard.
I am being heard. And my best interests are being looked after with these people. And that makes a huge difference. And it's not about sexuality and it's not about gender. It's about one human being experiencing a moment in time with another human being and just reaching out and saying, I'm here for you. I hear you. And I will help you as best I can. That's all people want from life. All people want. And if we can't do that, for whatever reason, we need to take a good long look at ourselves.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Sorry, here, end of the lesson.
We're both on our soapboxes today, aren't we, mate?
We are.
But it's true.
It is.
You know,
and if
I
you
like
just
to
look at. Sorry, go on.
Oh, sorry. Did you hear that?
Yes.
I do apologise.
You.
Yeah, it was. My earphones have started playing stuff. I do apologise.
Oh, no, it's all right. And if you look at, and I'm going to name names, there was a conversation with a YouTube gamer on a BBC channel. I don't know which one it was. I don't know. But they were talking about a certain author who wrote some books that were turned into a multi-million-pound franchise with wizards and wands and things, and said about her transphobia. And the presenter said, I don't think that author would class herself as transphobic. The BBC have apologised to said author for not defending her enough. Not that they didn't defend her, which I would say, yes, okay. She deserves protection and things, and you know, but to say we apologise because we didn't defend her enough when given her rhetoric smacks a bit of, showing true colours. But there
considering ITV have released an apology to the SNU, or through the SNU to Spiritualism, it's that old-fashioned apology of we're sorry that you felt upset rather than we're sorry that we upset you.
Yeah.
You weren't the focus of the conversation, so really we're not going to apologise because it wasn't about you. Well, actually, you brought us into it, so yes, it is.
Yeah, it is. And yeah.
I've just got to show some funny first. Sorry for the curveball, but I am jealous of Rev Tony's. It's not a curveball because everyone references Reverend Tony's nails. They are even better in person. And do you know what? I've noticed that when he's in, because I've chaired for him in person now. There's this funny. Hang on, I've got to. That's the one. Yeah. And it's even better in person, so it's not a curveball at all. No, Joanne, I completely agree. Yeah. And that is just a perfect statement.
It is.
That dictatorship mentality is pure. And you know what? I think, let's be honest, we've all, especially when we come to defending the rights of ourselves and each other's, we have the potential to have that within us. But I'd like to think that most people that I know for certain, and most people that I associate with, do their best to avoid that. And recognize it, and are aware and conscious of it, and prevent it from, controlling. Because the dictatorship mentality will control a person, let alone an entire population.
Yeah.
And that sense of ownership, mine. It always is this first stepping stone to that kind of. And so I'm always very cautious that when I am defending myself or the rights of spiritualism, the rights of the LGBTQIA plus population, I'm always very conscious of trying to make sure that I'm not saying I'm right, you're wrong.
No,
I don't always get it right, but I try.
we never do, Nick. We never do.
Yeah.
It's something that is within us, because I used to say anybody who walks through our door walks through the door without any judgment. And that's not true. It's not true, because human nature dictates that we make judgments about things. It's fight or flight. It goes back to, like I said earlier, when we crawled out of caves, it's like, what's out there? So anything that comes towards you, you make a snap judgment about. It's taking that judgment, it's putting it to one side and thinking, right, let's get down to the nitty gritty, and let's get to know this person or this situation before I take that any further.
Yes.
And sometimes, yeah, our judgments prove right, and sometimes it's not. But what makes us human is that thing where we say, okay, I got it wrong.
Yeah.
I thought that by you having the right to do this, that, and t'other, my rights were being eroded. They're not.
Yeah.
It's like God's love is not a pie. It's like we can't. It's not finite. There's more of it about. So it's the same with rights. It's not like there are only 15 of them. So if everybody has a bit, there's none left for anybody else. I'm always right, but I might be wrong. I like that. Yeah, it sometimes we do have to swallow our pride and say, I cocked that up. I got it wrong. I'm sorry. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, it always goes back to that old saying that, actually two. One of them's one that I posted a couple of days ago. One of them was written in the name of a book, 2,000 years old. When people say, let he who is without sin cast the first stone, some people take it as meaning that if they follow that particular path of life, they can throw all the stones they want. Actually, what it means is don't throw stones, because nobody's perfect.
no,
And I was having a chat with someone online the other day, and I remember saying something along the lines of, "Oh, Mary, hello, Mary Workman."
welcome.
I came across this debate, and it just something. Feel free to join the further discussion debate page online on Facebook. We have a group page now, which is cool. Oh, hello, we've got some more coming through. Bear with me. I remember saying something along the lines of, to err is human, to forgive divine, but forgiveness always begins with the self first. And so, we've got to understand that we do have problems, we do have issues, but we've got to forgive ourselves that sometimes we don't always get it right, and just be good. You got to start with kindness to yourself before you can be kind to anyone else. There we go.
Absolutely. I'm just trying
Yes,
to read
James. Yes, hello, James. James, we missed you last week because we started early. Whilst you're just reading that, because I know that's
Yeah.
a thing close to your heart, actually. I would love to meet Tony and Nick. You coming down south, Tony, anytime and mix with some posh people? Have we got you booked? I'm gonna
I
skim past that bit.
I don't know. Let me just. I can search my
Mother,
diary.
are you online, love?
Little Port. There we
I'm
are.
sure we must have you booked at some point, surely.
27th of July.
So on the 27th of July, Reverend Tony is coming to Littleport.
I am.
So he is coming to what we locally call the butthole of the bum of England, because it's right in the centre of the cheek. There you go, Mum's confirmed there. So you know,
Yep.
that's
Yeah.
kind of like East Anglia, so it's more south than not. I think we're about an hour and a half away from direct contact with the south coast. It depends where you're coming from, I
Yes.
suppose.
Yes.
But on the 27th of July, you will be in East
I will.
Anglia, which is a little bit
I will.
closer to those in the south than Rotherham.
Yes.
And you know what? I think that all of us should gather together from the ISA and have a big old do somewhere central. Somewhere central.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We should. We should.
So, um,
On Zoom, I hope.
James's.
Yes.
You read it?
I've read it.
I've just got to nip and sort something out. I'll be back in a moment. If you'd like to
Okay.
begin, I will join in because I know exactly what you're going to say.
Do you?
Always.
Yes. Whilst I completely agree with everybody has freedom of speech and everybody has the right to express that, freedom of speech comes with freedom of consequence. I sort of get what some people are saying because they want to play Hogwarts Legacy. There is an interesting video on YouTube by a lady called Vera Wild on the Council of Geeks YouTube site, and she goes into great detail about why she feels so strongly about people paying to play Hogwarts Legacy, because funding. J.K. Rowling once made a statement about, she was asked how does she sleep at night given her views on trans people and trans women especially, and she says, I sleep very well because I just look at all my royalty checks, which is her saying, because people buy things that are associated with, then they are agreeing with what she's saying. And whilst I get the differentiation between the art and the artist, I also see Vera's point of, by funding her, you're funding her views. It's complicated. I'm not saying who's right or wrong on that situation. I have my opinions. Everybody's entitled to their own. But I have seen firsthand the consequences of the attitudes that have been espoused by certain people within the media and the media community, and it ain't pretty. It ain't pretty. To the point where we have lost somebody from the trans community because of the grief and things they were getting. So whilst I can't take away that the work was brilliant and I loved it and I read all the books, I've given all of my copies away. And I can't watch the films, but that's me and that's my choice. I would never say you shouldn't buy that game. If you want to buy that game, but understand what that means.
Yeah.
That's my view. And sorry,
Understand that. No. I totally agree
sorry to
because
goes against James's views and points, but it's my view, and
yeah.
because of the work we do, it's dear to my heart.
I think it's important to understand the mind of the work that we take note of.
Mm.
Which is why I'm always extremely. I don't think she can hear you, Shelley. It's always important to understand the mind of the work that we take an interest in and follow. It's why I'm always very careful about things. For instance, the Bible.
Mm.
I don't know the mind and I don't know absolutely the culture in which those words were written. So I have to be very careful about what my opinion is formed of them, because it is the mind of the person that forms that creation. Now, a difficult and pained mind can create something beautiful. But we always have to be careful, especially in this day and age, that the threads of their opinions are laid out bare in that work.
Mm.
Um, you've only got to look at the way social media is, where people threaten that, you've got to be careful of that because that whole platform is based around this. Well, no, actually, that's not necessarily the case, but you can see the reason why.
Mm.
So I think it's always important to be aware of what goes through people's minds, and judge it for yourself accordingly, but absolutely not threaten and cajole people because they may take an interest in someone's work rather than because of their opinion. So it's always goes back to where is it? It always goes back to the badge that my lovely Esther got for me last year.
Yeah.
Um, the first question you ask is this kind?
Mm.
If it isn't, do something about it.
Yeah.
Be that within ourselves or other people's.
Mm.
And yeah, do you know what, James? I have to say you're absolutely right. Yeah, you might have differing opinions, but the difference between you and other people is your respect.
Yeah. And it is absolutely all about respect. And different, that's different. Hitler owned one
He
and
didn't create it, though.
he didn't create it. And buying a Mercedes isn't funding the platform for him to espouse what he espoused.
Yeah.
She gets royalty checks for everything that is syndicated through that branding. And while she owns the IP of that, she's getting funded for it. And she sees that as validation of her beliefs. But like I said, James, absolutely. And I would never fall out with anybody because they bought something that was labeled. I jokingly put a shocked face on and go, "Oh, how dare you!" But it's your choice and it's my choice. And to be honest, James, I would, I would, I
Yeah,
would
well,
fight.
well, well trained, Beverly. Well trained.
Yeah, I would fight tooth and nail for her to have the right to say what she says. She has freedom of speech. Absolutely. And I would never take that away from her. But I would hold her accountable for the things she says.
Yeah.
Here endeth the
And
lesson.
and I think, you know what? I actually think that's really, really important. I think it is all about accountability. Everything, in spiritualism, going right back to Chris's original question about psychic
Mm,
detectives and helping the police.
mm,
It does all come to accountability. And yes, whilst there are those that believe that various groupings and individuals should be held to account, um, my favorite thought on that is who watches the Watchmen. Everyone has to be held to account by the same standard, and that standard is respect.
yeah,
As James
absolutely.
said, the difference is respect, and I think the accountability, the standard and the yardstick by which everyone should be measured is the capacity for respect.
Yeah, yeah.
There are a lot of people I have disagreed with. We had a very, very lengthy debate in one of the circles. We actually, what they don't know is that we had the same debate in both circles on Wednesday. Because
Hmm.
I was on one.
That's
Me?
easier.
No. And they were two very different debates. Very two different debates. And the conversation was all about one particular person. For their respect of that individual, I'm not going to name them in any way, shape, or form, or making any reference. You'll find any reference or inference about who they are, because I absolutely respect and love their work. But they do sometimes say things that, frankly, wind me up. And it can feel extremely clinical fries about stitch and stick. Remind me, I will tell you very briefly a story about Colin, the first time we ever met, just to lighten the mood before we all go about our weekends. But yeah, I absolutely love and respect this person, but they sometimes say things that really, really wind me up and feel quite pained. And some things are said that can be quite hurtful, but I have to recognize and remember that, you know what, it wasn't aimed at me, and it's their opinion, so get over yourself. And that's really, really the main thing. And I just Valerie, really good question, actually.
Yes, I was hoping you
Because
were going to spot that one.
because you know what, first and foremost, Jesus wasn't even called Jesus either, but we still call him that because it's
Yeah.
easier. No, Jesus didn't wear a dog collar. In actual fact, ministry all the way up until around about, I think it was the 1500s. It was actually a Scotch minister who invented the clerical collar.
Oh,
I,
I didn't know.
he was the Church of Scotland. Pretty sure it's Presbyterian. I did remember the name at one point, but I don't anymore. So yeah, why do I? Why do we? For us, I know I speak for Tony in this because we have debated this ourselves at great length.
Hmm.
Um, no, Jesus didn't wear a dog collar. None of the disciples did. And frankly, all the way down through the apostolic tradition and the handing down of ordination, they didn't wear it either. But for me, the reason I wear it is because it is an easily recognized symbol of service.
Hmm.
I know that there are many people in the world who have turned that symbol of service into a symbol of authoritarianism and rage.
Oh, yeah.
I am a Christian spiritualist, so I do speak on behalf of the spirit world. Many of the things that I say when I'm working are not necessarily my own opinion. They are the opinions of the spirit world collectively that I work with, and that's just a small drop in the uniform. But it is, for me, my little taxi sign that says open for business.
Hmm.
And the reason I say that is, perfect example. I took my mum to hospital for a scan one day, and I always use this as an example. You know, um, Stace, I'm a Christian spiritualist, Valerie. So and there are a lot of non-Christian spiritualists ministry who wear the clerical collar. I know that the SNU does not disapprove of their ministry wearing a collar. It is up to personal choice. The United Spiritualist ministers are dog collar wearers or clerical collar wearers, whichever you prefer to call it. But for me, it's my sign that says I'm open for business. And the reason I believe it works is because as I was saying, I took my mum to hospital one day, and I was walking down the side of the hospital to go and find the car or something. Can't remember exactly why I was wandering around. I'd even forgotten that I was wearing this because I was doing a service later on. And this lady come running down the stairs, and said, and the terms that she used made it perfectly obvious that she wasn't a spiritualist. Um, oh, father, could you come up and see my husband, please? He's very, very poorly, and he wasn't able to take communion on Sunday because he's poorly. Can you come and say a prayer with him? And no. I don't. I call it the dog collar myself from time to time, but usually it's the one with the leather and studs that rather than this plastic white one. Um, I've just made Tony spill his drink. And hello to Matt Grogan. Hello, Matt. Hope you're all right, mate. Clerical does sound a bit, but it depends which party you're going to. So, and this lady asked me to go and pray with her husband. Now, I didn't ask her what denomination she was. I didn't say, well, actually, I'm a spiritualist. He probably won't want to pray with me. I just said, lead the way. And I went up the steps, and bless him, his skin was pale and yellow, and he looked weak and tired. And I just said, he said, I might die today, but I didn't get to have communion. And I haven't confessed any of my sins lately. And I just looked at him and I said, I'll pray with you, but understand this. Are you sorry for everything you've done wrong to other people? Well, of course I am. I said, God knows that. God doesn't care whether you followed any ceremony or ritual. All God cares about is that you know your mistakes, that you try your best. And frankly, God knows your heart. So let's sit and pray together and, hope that the medical professionals that are here in their uniforms can do their best for you. And I've never heard about him ever since. But the point is this: he wouldn't have had that moment of comfort that he needed if I didn't wear a collar, if I didn't take the collar. And it is a sign for me, not of authority and not of control, as many people see it, but of service. And I think people take umbrage to the collar, and because there are those that do use it as authority, and I get that. But does that mean we should abandon something that's is that something that we should abandon, or should it be something that we recover and rescue? Not everyone's going to be able to, but it's my view, and I know Tony's now going to chip in with his.
Yeah, I've also had thrown at me. Oh, you think you're clever because you're wearing that? Like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. In fact, I think the reverse. I think it's humbling to wear the collar, and it's a sign of my wish to serve those in need in any way I can.
Yes,
I agree with Nick. I've had conversations with people whilst out and about wearing it that they would never have approached me to talk about if I was just wearing a t-shirt and a hoodie. And it is just that thing that says, I'm approachable. If you are in need, come and talk to me. And that's what I see it as. And there are mornings where I'll get up and I'll think, I'm just going to stick it on today while I go down Asda or, whatever, just because every now and again, it's just open to people saying, it's just like you said, taxi sign, I'm here, I'm working.
Yeah, exactly. So, Valerie, I hope that kind of answers it. It is literally just a way of saying we're here, let us help. And I've got to bring this up. The lovely Matt. To me, it is your words, your actions, your thoughts that denote who you are. Yes, the collar denotes your role, but maybe the collar should only be used on special occasions, services. But that is your personal view, and I get that, and I do use. I will be honest, I do use it less and less these days. But then I'm always reminded, but by that moment when I was at Addenbrooke's Hospital, and that chap needed some help, and who would she have run to if I hadn't been walking past? You know,
Exactly.
and for my view, spirit, you know, has a great deal of influence, and I totally agree with you. And I like I said, I don't wear it so much when I'm out and about anymore, because you know people refer to me as Rev Nick. So you know, do I really need to be advertising the fact? No. Do I wear it so that people know that I'm available for them? Yes. And you know, it is words and actions and thoughts that denote who you
Mm,
are. And but you know what would be deemed a special occasion for many might be a difficult occasion for other people. And I always think about whether when I sit there and think, shall I wear it today or not, shall I wear it today or not, I'm always reminded of that chap who needed help.
mm.
And so it's a difficult one.
It is.
It is a difficult one. And I
Joanne,
don't think there's an easy answer. And
Joanne
Valerie, you're
Lewis is
very welcome. I always,
absolutely.
always enjoy answering questions. You know that about me. Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
how can I help? What do you
yeah,
need?
yeah. Exactly.
Absolutely.
But you know, to go back to Matt, you know, I do, in essence, agree with you. Really, really do. But how else do we let people know that we are there for them?
Mm,
You know, so it is a six of one, half and a dozen the other question, really, that really, really does make it difficult sometimes to say. I don't think there is an easy answer for anything, and I certainly
there
don't think
isn't.
there's an easy answer or solution for that.
No,
But
no,
but for me, I only wear it as a sign of service and nothing else, not
no.
authority or anything like that, which I
Or
know
ego.
people do.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you know, I think that the way we are able to, you know, communicate and discuss, particularly on this show, and I see it in all the other, you know, because I see my fellow SPTVers on screen chatting today. For instance, Joanne and Matt, of course. You know, there's something about the community that we are building around, like, for instance, SPTV and the show that we're doing now, where you can touch on really difficult subjects in a respectful way to each other. And I think whether you get an answer, an ultimate answer to a question, whether you come up with a solution or not, I think it's irrelevant. I think what is brilliant is that everyone can just chat and share their opinion without being, oh God, what have you seen? Is that
Chrissy
Chrissy?
Reading. Yeah.
Yeah, go on. If
Go
I
on, go
saw
on, go
you
on,
coming
go on.
towards me, I would run the other way. Love you. Well, you know, Littleport
It's
is in the middle of Cambridgeshire, we're not too far from Bedford. So you never know. You might see me walking through the street one day because I might deliberately come and hunt you down in Bedford for that one.
it's the it's the next comment. You are the father Ted of Cambridge, and Tony's the father Ted of the North.
Oh, I hadn't seen that one.
Oh, go on, go on, go on, go
Oh,
on.
go on, go on. Yeah. Do you know what? I'll
Oh, go
take
on, go
that.
on. I will.
You know,
Absolutely.
because I must confess, there are times I will sit there, and Nigel will take the mic, and I'll just lean back in the chair and go, small, far away, and he will then say drink and something else that I'm not going to repeat online. But no, you know, I think it's wonderful the way that everyone can debate and have their opinion
Mm,
without being made to feel small
yeah,
and insignificant, because every view matters. And you
yeah.
know, I've got to say this, and I need to say this to everyone who is watching. I don't believe that I have all the answers, and I certainly don't believe I get it right all the time. But by having these conversations with everybody and everyone's input, my opinions and my thoughts do change. And I do listen to what people are saying. And if something really resonates with me, you know, like for instance, Matt's comment, that really did resonate with me because, you know, I have sat there and I have questioned the amount of times I wear it. And I have sat there and thought, um, shall I, shall I or shan't I wear it today? Shall I,
Mm,
shan't I wear it today? And, you know, it's really, really, really great. And I do think about it an awful lot. And now, because of that conversation, I'll probably be thinking about it even more. Thanks, Matt. I tell you what else, there is another, I will see. Laundry. it's so much easier to not decide what you're wearing in the day. It's just like,
It is.
oh, I can't be bothered to choose a t-shirt. I can't be bothered to choose jeans. I'll just put the uniform on. I, I,
Yeah.
I have to admit, I've spent most of my life in uniform and therefore had somebody else decide what I'm wearing in that
Yeah.
particular day. So there is a bit of laziness to it, I suppose.
Yeah.
And
I,
this is the point.
yeah.
This is the point.
Absolutely.
Valid points. Maybe we can tell people. Maybe we can tell people who we are, i.e., Revnik, Tony. Sometimes the collar can equally make people not come. Absolutely, previous experiences and breaking down the barriers to dress. As I know you, Nick, wearing your collar or not, or will give time to those who need it. Absolutely. You're totally right. And like I said, there is no simple, easy answer.
No, but yeah, it absolutely goes back to we are always open to have conversation, to have debate, and this platform is absolutely wonderful to see people having that debate in the comments as well as us rambling away on screen. It's brilliant. And something I do want to throw out there is if anybody wants to come on screen with us and join in the debate and the conversation, please let us know, because I think it would be wonderful to just get people in to have that different perspective and have it. And I mean, James, we've obviously got different opinions about things and different viewpoints, but
there we go.
We all have the right to express that.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely, I would love it, James. I would love it.
Yeah. We'll have to hook a week up one week.
Yeah.
I have actually got a gentleman called Leonard Young interested in coming and having a chat with us.
Brilliant.
He does share a lot of the history of spiritualism, and sometimes it's considered the forgotten history of spiritualism. Matt's got to go to work, so he's off now.
Bye.
Thank you for coming on and sharing your thoughts as well, Matt. It is the point of the show.
Yeah.
It really matters that everyone's opinions are thought and heard, and like I said, I enjoy a good debate, and sometimes we don't figure out the answers yet, but who knows? We might down the road.
We might even get more questions.
Maybe a big pink neon sign above my head would be, oh no, that's a different career I had. But but have a good night, Matt, and speak to you soon.
Yeah.
I do love the debates that we have on this show, and I so if you've got any suggestions, I think Chrissy's a bit concerned about us letting James on with us. And yes, Chrissy, I do know that Bedfordshire, like Cambridgeshire, is a big place. We are county neighbours, if nothing else, but it's a long way apart. But yeah, we're 4 miles north of Ely in Cambridgeshire for Littleport. But there we are. So, if you've got, like Tony said, if you've got ideas on who you would like to come on, who you think would add to the debate, and if that means yourself, yes. And get in touch with us and continue the debate online as well, because that tends to be great. What?
Ooh, that's a little bit radical because you hold a certain viewpoint, James. That's
and that's the flip side of it all. That really is the flip side of it all.
That goes against everything that I hold dear and believe in, because I would never tell anybody they are wrong to hold the views they have. It's we are. One time a man was thrown 5 feet in the air in an accident. Me and others were there trying to save his life. We didn't, but I asked his wife if she had faith and wanted to pray. She said she wasn't religious but would love to pray. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And the dinner gong is but calling for everyone as well, I think, because
It is.
do
It
you
is.
believe it's
Oh,
5:45 already?
how? That's the
We've
thing.
already overrun by about 15 minutes to what we should
Yeah.
originally plan, but we do.
Yeah.
But thank
Yeah.
you everyone so much for your thoughts, your
Yeah.
opinions, coming on, laying it bare, spiritually, of course, and
Mm.
joining the debate. Thank you
Yes.
all so very much. And we will be back next Friday at 4 o'clock. I'm needing the bathroom, and then my family are needing food. Everyone's needing food as well at home by the looks of it. So from me, it's goodbye and God bless.
And from me, God bless.
God bless you all. Be safe, be wonderful, be brilliant. And until next week, keep safe, and may the great... And the dog wants to have its word in too. May the peace of the Great Spirit go with you all. Good night and God bless.